It was a quiet evening at one of the most expensive restaurants in town, the kind of place where every detail screams luxury. Then the door opened, and in walked a man who looked completely out of place. His clothes were old, wrinkled, and dirty. His hair was messy, and his shoes looked like they had seen better days, maybe years ago. The waiter noticed him right away. Without even trying to hide it, he let out a short, sharp laugh. He looked the man up and down like he was some kind of joke. But the scruffy man didn't react. He stood tall, calm, with a strange quiet confidence in his eyes. Something about him didn't fit the way he looked. And right then, I knew this night was about to take a turn no one expected. The restaurant was a place where people came to celebrate big moments. Crystal chandeliers hung from the ceiling, casting soft light on white linen tablecloths and polished silverware. The air smelled faintly of expensive wine and fresh flowers. Every chair was filled with well-dressed guests, their laughter and chatter mixing with the soft music playing in the background. And then there was him, the scruffy man who seemed like he had just walked out of another world. His clothes were nothing like the tailored suits and elegant dresses around him. He looked like he hadn't cared about appearances in weeks. The waiter who approached him was everything this man was not. Tall, confident and proud. The waiter wore his uniform perfectly, but there was a sharp edge to his smile, a hint of arrogance that made me uncomfortable. He treated this scruffy man like an annoying fly buzzing in his perfect world. I sat nearby, watching it all unfold. I felt a mix of curiosity and unease. Who was this man? And why did the waiter's reaction feel so harsh? I couldn't take my eyes off them. The waiter stood in front of the scruffy man, barely hiding his disgust. "Sir, are you sure you're in the right place?" he said, his voice dripping with mockery. Then he laughed, loud enough for nearby tables to hear. Some of the guests turned to look, their eyes full of surprise or amusement. A few even smiled, clearly entertained by the scene. The scruffy man didn't flinch. He looked the waiter straight in the eyes and spoke softly but clearly, "Yes, I'm sure. I want to eat here." There was no anger in his voice, no defensiveness, just calm, steady certainty. The waiter snorted. "You don't look like you can afford anything on the menu," he sneered. "Maybe you should try the soup. If you're lucky." His tone was cruel, like he was playing a game where the scruffy man was the joke. I felt a knot form in my stomach. The way the waiter treated him was wrong. This wasn't just poor manners, it was cruelty dressed up as humor. But the scruffy man never lost his composure. He waited patiently, his eyes never leaving the waiter's face. Some other customers chuckled nervously. Others looked away, uncomfortable with the tension in the room. I wanted to stand up and tell the waiter to stop, but I stayed quiet, watching, hoping the man would show them something they didn't expect. At that moment I realized there was more to this man than his appearance, something hidden beneath the surface, and I couldn't wait to see what would happen next. After the waiter's laughter died down, the scruffy man quietly looked at the menu. He didn't rush or show any frustration. Instead, he took his time, as if he belonged there more than anyone else. When the waiter leaned in with a smirk, ready to mock him again, the man spoke clearly. "I'll have the lobster bisque, please," he said. The waiter's eyes widened in surprise. Lobster bisque wasn't cheap. It was one of the most expensive dishes on the menu. He raised an eyebrow, his smile twisting into something like disbelief. "You sure about that? That's an expensive choice," the waiter said, sounding almost amused. "You don't look like the type who could pay for it." The scruffy man didn't respond with words. Instead, when the meal was over, he reached into his pocket and pulled out a worn leather wallet. The waiter watched, waiting for the man to fumble or complain. But the man calmly pulled out a thick stack of bills, more money than the waiter had ever seen in one place. Without hesitation, he handed it over. No hesitation, no counting, just a simple, confident gesture. The waiter's smile disappeared. His eyes were wide, his hands trembling just a little as he took the money. He couldn't believe what he was seeing. The scruffy man looked at him then. A calm, confident smile played on his lips, like a secret only he knew. The smile unsettled the waiter more than anything else. It was clear now that this man was not what he seemed, and the waiter's mockery was suddenly a bitter mistake. I watched the whole scene in silence, feeling a mix of surprise and something like hope. Maybe this night was going to teach everyone a lesson, one they wouldn't forget anytime soon. After the scruffy man finished his meal and left, the restaurant slowly returned to its usual calm. But the waiter couldn't shake the feeling that something was very wrong. The image of that confident smile stayed burned in his mind. He felt a strange mix of embarrassment and curiosity. Who was this man, really? As the waiter cleared the table, he overheard a few whispers from nearby guests. One of them mentioned a name. The man's name. It was a name the waiter had heard before, but never expected to meet in person. The scruffy man was not just any customer. He was a well-known business owner, one of the richest and most respected men in the city. But that wasn't all. He was also a secret philanthropist who helped people without ever seeking praise or attention. The waiter's mind raced back through the night's events. The calm confidence, the thick wallet, the way the man had carried himself, even when mocked. It was all a part of a carefully hidden life. The man had chosen to appear poor to see how people treated him, not as a wealthy businessman, but as a simple human being. Suddenly the waiter felt a deep shame. His laughter, his mocking words, they weren't just rude, they were cruel and unfair. He had judged a man by his clothes and appearance alone, missing the real person beneath. And now he knew he had made a terrible mistake. Before the waiter could think more, the door opened again. The scruffy man walked back inside, calm and composed. The entire restaurant seemed to hold its breath. The man approached the waiter, his eyes steady and serious. "I saw how you treated me tonight," he said quietly. "It wasn't kind, but I believe people can learn and change. So I came back, not to punish you, but to offer you a choice." The waiter's heart pounded. He stammered, trying to find words to apologize. But the man raised a hand to stop him. "Listen," the man continued, "there's more to this world than appearances. And there's more to you too, if you're willing to see it. I want to give you a chance to prove you can be better. But first you have to promise to treat every person who walks through that door with respect." The waiter nodded quickly, grateful and humbled. He realized this moment could change everything, for him, for the restaurant, and for the way he saw people forever. The waiter stood frozen, his heart pounding so loud he thought the whole restaurant could hear it. He looked into the scruffy man's eyes, those calm, steady eyes, and felt a wave of regret crash over him. All the pride, the confidence, the smirk, it vanished. "I'm sorry," the waiter whispered, his voice shaking. "I didn't mean to. I shouldn't have laughed at you. I was rude and disrespectful. Please forgive me." The words felt small, but they came from deep inside. He felt desperate for forgiveness, knowing he had hurt someone who didn't deserve it. He had judged the man before even knowing him, only looking at his clothes, his appearance. The scruffy man watched him quietly for a moment. Then slowly he nodded. His calm smile returned, not mocking, but kind, full of wisdom. "I forgive you," he said softly. "But remember this moment. Remember how easy it is to judge someone without knowing their story." The man's voice was soft, almost quiet, but there was something in it that made the whole room feel heavier, as if his words carried more weight than anyone had expected. He looked the waiter in the eyes and said, "True respect doesn't come from the way someone dresses or the money they carry. It comes from seeing people for who they really are, deep down, beyond all the surface things." His gaze didn't waver. "If you can learn that, you won't just be a better waiter, you'll be a better person." I sat nearby, watching every moment unfold, and I could feel something growing in my chest, a tightness, a lump that made it hard to swallow. It wasn't just about the waiter or the scruffy man anymore, it was about something much bigger. How easy it is for all of us to make the same mistake, to judge someone before we even try to understand them, to see only what's on the outside and decide who they are in an instant. We all do it. I do it. You do it. It's human to make quick decisions, but sometimes those decisions are wrong, and sometimes they hurt someone in ways we don't even realize. I thought about the waiter's harsh laugh, his mocking words, and how quick he was to decide the scruffy man was less than. How that one moment of judgment almost ruined everything. It's so easy to forget that every single person carries a story inside them, a story filled with pain, hope, dreams, and battles nobody else sees. The clothes they wear, the way they look, none of that tells the whole story. The waiter's apology wasn't just about one rude mistake. It was about something deeper, about learning humility, about kindness, about looking beyond the surface and understanding that every person deserves respect. That night, watching the scruffy man and the waiter, I learned a lesson I won't forget. Sometimes, the people who seem the weakest or poorest carry the greatest strength inside them. Their quiet courage, their patience, their kindness, they shine in ways we don't always see right away. And sometimes, those who seem confident, proud, or even superior need to stop and look closer at themselves, because they might be the ones who need to change the most. We all have moments like that, moments where we're given a chance to change, to grow, to be better. But those moments only matter if we're willing to see them. The waiter thought the moment had passed. He thought his apology was enough, that everything would go back to normal, that the scruffy man would leave and the story would end. But then the man surprised him one more time. "Before I go," the man said calmly, "there's something I want to offer you." The waiter blinked, caught off guard, unsure if he had heard the words right. His eyes searched the man's face, waiting for a trick or a test. But all he found was genuine kindness. "I run several businesses," the man continued, "but one of the things I care about most is helping people who want to grow, people who want to learn kindness and respect. You showed courage tonight by apologizing. That's not easy, and it's rare." The man reached into his pocket and pulled out a simple cup. It wasn't flashy or expensive looking, but it felt like the most valuable thing the waiter had ever held. "If you're willing," the man said, "I'd like to give you a chance, not just to work with me as a waiter, but to take a role where you can learn, grow, and see the world in a new way." Tears welled up in the waiter's eyes. This wasn't just forgiveness. It was a second chance, a fresh start, an opportunity to change everything. I watched silently, moved by the man's unexpected kindness. This offer wasn't about power or punishment. It wasn't about proving who was right or wrong. It was about giving someone the chance to become better, to rise above their past mistakes, to open their heart and mind to something new. This story reminds me, and I hope it reminds you too, that kindness is one of the most powerful things we have. It has the ability to heal wounds, to change hearts, and to open doors we never even knew existed. Humility, that quiet strength to admit when we're wrong and to try to do better, can take us places pride never could. And judging people by their appearance, it blinds us to the amazing, complicated, beautiful people they really are. Sometimes, the person who looks like they don't belong, who seems out of place, scruffy or different, is exactly the one who will change everything for the better. So before you judge, pause. Take a moment, Think about what you don't know. What if the person standing in front of you is carrying a story you can't see? What if, like the waiter, you have a chance to learn something new that will change your life forever? Remember, every moment is a chance to choose kindness, to open your eyes, soften your heart, and see people for who they truly are, not just what they appear to be. And in that choice, we find not only the power to change others, but the power to change ourselves. If this story touched you, please give it a like. I'd love to hear your thoughts, or if you've ever experienced something similar, leave a comment below. Your stories mean a lot and help us all learn from each other. Don't forget to subscribe for more stories that inspire and remind us about kindness, humility, and seeing people for who they really are. And please share this video with friends or family who might need a gentle reminder to look beyond appearances. Together we can spread kindness and change how we treat each other. Thank you for watching.